this town loves Sarah Palin, and there's a reason. It isn't about Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin doesn't make it about Sarah Palin. It's about right and wrong, American and un-American, moral, amoral, if not immoral, and that's why she comes across so well, because she doesn't try and come across so well. Let me tell you something. I have seen people who spend more on their makeup and their hair and their clothing than most families spend on living, and they don't look nearly as good as she does because she's coming from the inside. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think she just exudes an inner glow, and I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but there's just something about Sarah that the peace that she has, a serenity in her expression, and a confidence despite the dignity and grace that she carries herself. And that's why we love her. Integrity, dignity, grace. That's Sarah.
I think we need to have a song, something about Sarah. Is there a composer in the crowd? Well, I see a guy who looks like he's close to composer, closer to compost, but that's all right. We're going to have him come right up. Come on up here, sir, now that I beat you up. No, come on. We talked to you the very first. This is a gentleman who we talked to some time ago. And I will tell you something. This is a guy who is an extraordinary individual. I would tell you he's witty, and I'm half right. But what's your name,
sir? Are you
sir?
saying I'm a half-wit?
I'd say if you work hard, you can get there.
I'm Lynn Turner.
And Lynn, we had a great conversation before. I think people should share your great smile, your humor. And by the way, this is a reverse mohawk. You know, so we've seen people with mohawks. He's got a reverse mohawk.
Yeah, it tickles my brain.
And it's laughing out loud. All right. Let me ask you seriously. Sarah Palin, yes or no, next president of the United States?
She's intelligent. She's articulate. She's highly qualified and in the position she's been in the past. And she's paid her dues well above any kind of community organization process. Sarah Palin would be an excellent choice for a president of the United States of America. And she was born in America.
Isn't that a song too? You want to sing for us?
I'm not going to sing for you now.
Do you have another question?
Yes, I was going to ask you, so are there things that you have done as far as being politically active before Barack Obama became president, before these policies? Have you done other things in your life, or has this renewed an interest for you?
I was really hard-pressed to vote for McCain when he became the nominee for president. But once he picked up Sarah Palin, it was just like, go, great guns. I felt like she really, I think you said, brought some excitement to the campaign trail. I think she generated a lot of enthusiasm, which McCain had trouble struggling, to bring that about.
What is it about Sarah that brings on the enthusiasm?
I agree with your sincerity. She has a sincere nature, and her beauty comes from her heart. She is beautiful from her heart. I mean, you can detect the sincerity when she takes the time to be concerned about the children, which, let's see, I think Jesus Christ said, bring the children to me. Sarah likes people. She's personable. She's just a wonderful lady, and boy, the Republican Party will be hard-pressed to find anybody with her qualifications and her expertise and her abilities, and that will generate a following that will carry the next election.
Let me tell you something, folks. I've been around a long time, and I know that most politicians work very hard so that when they show up someplace, there's some people there. And we have some great politicians on both sides of the aisle. But the reality is, when Kennedy showed up, they didn't have to get crowds. The crowds were there. I'm talking about JFK. When Reagan showed up, they didn't have to work hard to get the crowds. The crowds were there. When McCain showed up, his wife had to be called and reminded. He drew flies at picnics. But when Sarah Palin joined the campaign, something happened. Something changed. There was this amazing morphing of a doofus into a legitimate candidate. Now, John McCain America lost the election. John McCain lost the election. Sarah Palin won the election. When Sarah Palin would do a rally without John McCain, 50,000 people would show up, but the press wouldn't. When Barack Obama would do a rally, he had a lot of people. Some of them weren't on drugs. Some of them weren't paid. Some of them weren't bussed in. Some of them weren't fed. Some of them weren't coerced. Some of them weren't union members. And some of them were heterosexual. I know that.
Let me say this. I'm retired UAW, and the union does not speak for me. They're extremely liberal. They've taken on causes which I don't think that the union should have taken on in the first place. They, the homosexual same-sex stuff, that's scripturally it's wrong. It's an abomination, and I think that the union should have stayed out on those issues in particular. I do not want this card check off. I believe that America is a republic, and that democratically speaking, we're allowed to have a secret ballot, not be coerced into voting for something that we don't want for. And I'm not blatant free labor or open labor, whatever it is. But the union's done wonderful things for me, but there's some areas where they've crossed the line as far as I'm concerned.
I would agree. My parents are both UAW, and they're also conservative. Yeah. There's been a lot of conflict, I think, for them in voting, because they haven't always felt like the UAW would be well served by a Republican candidate. Yeah. But at the same time, my father could never vote for somebody who thinks it's okay to kill babies. Yeah. And while they are pretty fiscally conservative, but yet UAW is what their paycheck. Yeah. Every week, that's how they put food on the table, and we're able to put me in a private school so to have a good Christian education. So we got a lot of really wonderful things out of it, but at the same time, they do agree with you that there were a lot of mistakes have been made in that organization.
Well, as far as bailing out the General Motors and the big three, that's mismanagement, and that's mismanagement at the top. And they bailed them out, and who's going to be getting their big bonuses? The CEOs and everything, even after being bailed out, they're going to be getting them. Like the financial institutions, they're going to be getting their big bonuses, and the American public's tax dollars are supporting the bailout. And so who's paying for those big bonuses? I would say the taxpayers are getting stuck with it again.
Appreciate you being a part of the show. Thank you so much. And it's a joy to meet you, and look forward to meeting your wife, who I think should be very interesting.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.